Right, same colour bishops, bishop and pawn versus bishop. I said at the end of the last video, bishop and pawn versus bishop 1, so this video is going to be called bishop and pawn versus bishop 2, that there aren't any particularly new themes going on in any of these positions here. I mean, that's not completely true. There is sort of one new theme that we're going to look at. But mostly it's about just sort of consolidation of everything from that video and just some more positions that you can pause the video and have a go at working out what you'll do. So this first one is black to play. Black has only one drawing move here, so pause the video and see if you can work out what it is. So I went through on the last video, I sort of had a game against Stockfish where I tried to defend this position, or something incredibly similar to this position. And what we've got going on here is that the white bishop is controlling that diagonal. If the black king gets to c8, it's just a draw. And the defending bishop is having to keep an eye on the c7 square at any given time. Now, we might have just gone from the position, which we'll see in another, a bit later on in another position I've got in this video. What would happen if the white king was on e6, facing off the black king on e8, and we've got the two bishops, attacking and defending bishops on this diagonal here. There's actually a position of reciprocal zugzwang where these are the two squares that correspond for the bishops when the kings are facing each other off. And we'll see that soon. So white could actually, by the way, try coming back to the e6 square, presuming that's where white was a minute ago. But you can think about it as white's already given up on that idea and has come over to the queen side. They're going to get to the b7 square. And you can see that we can't stop the white king getting to b7. But white's winning plan once the king gets to b7 is there's a sort of chasing the bishop round in circles thing going on, because the black bishop's just going to maintain control of c7 and do what I call the fortune teller thing. So I don't know, let's say that the black bishop's come back to f4, and then the white bishop goes on c7 to challenge. This is all with the white king on b7, by the way. The black bishop has to come back ready to jump to a5. The white bishop can just sort of disappear on this diagonal, freeing the c7 square. We have to come here and control the c7 square again, but then the attacking bishop will just come to g1. And the point is that with the white king on b7, what we're going to do is challenge the defending bishop on that diagonal. So you kind of have to, white almost like loses a move, to be honest, in that chucking the bishop off this diagonal, and then the challenge has to be on b6, because any challenge on c7 isn't going to work. We just do what I call the fortune teller thing. If the white bishop goes one way, we go the other. So the thing that the defending side has to do, they absolutely have to do if to get a result here, is they have to have rear opposition. Right? So the black king has to be controlling the b6 square, so that white can't challenge our defending bishop on the b6 square. That's the important bit. So your only drawing move is king f7. So well done if you sort of recognised you've got to get the black king to b5. And I think this sort of highlights how it's important to just know these. It's one of the 100 endgames you should just know, because there's no way I don't think I'd work that out over the board. I don't think I'd look at this position and go, oh yeah, I need my king on b5. I mean, you could say, oh yeah, you could just calculate it on the day, and it's just like, maybe. I don't know if I agree with that. I think we need to, something as hard as this, I think we just need to, it's useful to know it. Let's just see what happens if we just do nothing. So we just bring the bishop back. White king comes in, and now we play king f7. It's a bit too late for king f7. Bishop d8. king e6, bishop back to c7. White's going to do exactly what I said. Going to challenge the black bishop on that diagonal. It's going to come back ready to go to a5. King b7, king d5. Bishop out of the way, bishop a5 is forced, and then we're going to make our way to the b6 square. And black can't stop you. Black can't stop white getting the bishop to the b6 square. And I guess, you know, that sort of, it's like we're only one move short. Urgh. It's like, well, yeah, but you sort of wasted the first move playing bishop g3. So you have to play king f7 straight away. That gets a move out of the white bishop. And then, yeah, just follow the white king round. Drop back on that diagonal. So that's what happened in the game. That was a blunder. We shouldn't be dropping back on that diagonal. So after, incredibly in this game, this is a game from 2007, Black did all these brilliant moves. You know, you think, oh, they really know what they're doing. And now you have to drop the bishop back on this diagonal. Because white needs to challenge it on c7, and we'd see moves like bishop g3. The white bishop comes to c7. There's the extra move you get to b5. Challenge on c7, out the way, a5, e3. I'm coming to b6. No, you're not. But in the game, after having done all of that, you think, wow, Black really knows what they're doing here. King there, the bishop went back on that diagonal to sort of horrible blunder after all that hard work. And we're getting challenged on b6 straight away. Oops. And Black resigned. Right, next. This is from 1995, this game. It's white to play. The question is, do you want to swap rooks and play g4? Because if you swap rooks as white and play g4, you can see that we're going to have bishop and pawn versus bishop. Okay. And then we should have good enough knowledge of bishop and pawn versus bishop, same coloured bishops, to work out, well, is that going to be a draw? It's not actually that many moves to calculate. Black has very good drawing chances here by just not swapping rooks. Rook c3, I mean, yeah, that rook would get hit and have to go back to c8, or even rook c8 immediately, by the way, was the other move that the engine's just saying 0.0 for all of those. Just stay on the c file, but not bishop takes b2. So, I mean, this was a drawing idea. Bishop gets hit. You think, oh, that's a blunder, isn't it? Because I can take the rook and then take the bishop, but no, because the c pawn queen. So don't take the rook. Still don't swap rook. Still be a bad rook c8. And in fact, you kind of still end up in bishop on pawn versus bishop anyway. Now the black rook's being hit, so we might see rook b3 check. And if we just play like king f2, the black rook can come to c3. Whereas if we play king e2, that stops rook c3, because then you could swap. Then you could swap rooks and play king d3, and you're winning the c2 pawn straight away. But even with rook g3, you're still winning the c pawn. And yeah, I mean, what does black do there? The ninja's just saying it's completely drawn. You want to keep the rooks on to stand any chance at all, because if the rooks do get swapped, that's a very easy draw. And we might see black try and win it. There's a challenge on f4. And yeah, I mean, black has to stop your king getting to f1, but then just go to e2, and it's the f4 square. Black's not going to get that pawn past the f4 square. I mean, they'd have to take the king back to g4. I guess this would be the critical square to challenge you on. But as soon as the black king disappears from the control of f1, we just stick our king on it. So now we just see the fortune teller thing around the f4 square. Anyway, so I mean, I think visualizing the not swapping rooks all the way around to the bishop and pawn versus bishop, I think that was a big ask. But what was not a big ask was visualizing swapping rooks and g4 to this position. All of white's moves were sort of forced there. There was a very forcing line. I mean, sure, black could play f4 there, but that's clearly not going to do anything, because this g pawn can easily be used to win, possibly even win the game if black's not careful. So be interesting. In fact, is that a blunder? Does that have interest? No, it's not a blunder, but it is just a complete draw. Yeah, so all of this stuff sort of pretty forcing, and black wouldn't play f4. Black would just take, because you get to this position and say, well, have you got drawing chances here, given what we know about bishop and pawn versus bishop? And no, not even close to drawing chances. I mean, see king b3 straight away. We've got to move the bishop. But, I mean, the white king's just not even anywhere near the c2 pawn. And even if it was, even if it could get into this rear opposition thing, this is the short diagonal. So when the black king gets to b1, it's controlling 2 squares on that short diagonal. And then we can use the bishop to control the other one. So it's just completely lost. So in the original position, don't swap rooks. Play rook c8 or rook c3, and then back to c8 when it gets hit. Right, next, white to play. Pause the video and decide what would you do here. So this isn't a million miles away from the first position where I was talking about that reciprocal Zugzwang thing, but we can see that white's not going to get the king round the rear opposition things. It's not going to be a thing here. So we are going to end up with the black bishop on this diagonal and the white bishop on this diagonal, with the white king unable to get to g1. You can see that's the position that we are heading towards. And if the black king ever tries to make it round to h2, we just stick our bishop on g2, and black can't make progress. So black does not have like a second winning plan here to get their king round on the king side, isn't it there? The only plan they've got is in this diagonals thing is for white not to appreciate that the g2 and d3 squares, when the kings are opposite each other here, the g2 and d3 squares they're kind of like corresponding squares for the bishops. That's your position of reciprocal Zugzwang. Let's go through it. White's going to try and get the king to g1, but if you're just a bit sloppy and play king e2, you've just lost. And this is why. Okay, first of all, bishop d3 check, sneaky. Okay, you can't take that, obviously, the g pawn queen. So then you go king e1. You think, wow, that's all right. I wanted my king on e1 anyway. I mean, we were going to get in this position. If I'd played king e1, then black's going to play bishop d3. I couldn't get to g1, so I don't see what black's achieved with this little trick. They can't play g2 because then I'll play king f2. So they've got to bring the king in, and yeah, we'll see that. We'll bring the king in, and then I'll get my bishop to that diagonal. But the point is that when the attacking bishop's on this diagonal and the defending bishop's on this one, all you have to know as the defender is that whenever the attacker comes to the d3 square, they're ready to play bishop e4, you have to play bishop g2. You've got to make bishop e4 with king f1 defending your bishop on g2. If you get challenged on the f3 square, we don't care. Okay, so if the black bishop challenges you on f3, you just take it and play king f1. That's a draw. If you get challenged on the e4 and your bishop's not on g2, you're dead. So in fact, white's dead. Bishop e4. Ow. Oh dear. Yeah. Yeah. You're either going to lose your bishop or the black pawn's queening. You have to take. And you think, oh, this is alright, I've got the opposition. It's like, nope. King f4, win for black. Okay, so absolutely crucial that we understand that anyway, and then just not be sloppy in this original position and allow black that one extra tempo with the sneaky bishop d3. So you have to play king e1. and that's giving you the extra tempo that you need. Okay, so bishop c6, king into e3, and now the black bishop is on d3, so you have to play bishop g2. So if I was playing this as, I mean, the whole point is if the bishop comes to e4, then we have to play king f1. But if I was playing this as black, I would now just sort of carry on and just see, well, all right, white's played bishop g2, but they might have just got lucky there. So bishop b5, they've got to move their bishop on that diagonal, fine. By the way, going that way is just lost. There's a famous Botvinnik game where Botvinnik agreed a draw when his opponent had gone that way, but it is just lost. So bishop back on that diagonal, bishop c4, and yeah, I would just keep going as black and just hoping that white puts their bishop on g2. Just don't put your bishop on g2. Try and trick you like that. Just not putting my bishop on g2. Just don't do it. Now you put your bishop on g2. You've got to be ready to meet bishop e4 with king f1. After I'd exhausted that plan, I mean, to be honest, there's a fairly good chance that the defending side knows what they're doing in all scenarios. But if I'd exhausted that plan, I would then probably give up on it, and I would come round to the king side, and I would get my king to h2 via the I3 square, which doesn't exist. So yeah, I obviously wouldn't do that, but if there's a bit more space on the king side, I would try and get my king to the h2 square and hope from that first position that the defending side doesn't know about the plan to come and get the rear opposition on h4, which we saw in that first position. Again, I mean, if you don't just know it, I think it'd be quite hard to find that over the board. Right, next, black to play. What would you do? This is actually a position with a sort of a new theme in it, which is a bit of a clue, I suppose. One move you might like to just play by hand is just bring the king over. That's sort of a natural move. Just bring the king in. It's just a complete draw. King e3, king e4, sorry, king f2, king d3. Careful not to play king e1. Oops. Okay, so you've got to keep control of the a3 square, but yeah, avoid the bishop c3 calamity. And we just follow the black king in. Like there's just no way for black to make progress here. You know, we just do nothing now. Whichever square black challenges the bishop on, like, we don't really care if it's a3 or b4. We're just going to take it and put our king on c1. It's such an easy draw. Just draw. Our king's got to c1. So you think, well, what on earth can you do? I mean, the key is that if you ignore the bishops, the white king is outside the square of the a pawn. So you don't really need your king involved over near the pawn as black. So in the game went king e6, at which point white must have been thinking, oh dear, black's found the winning plan. Played king f3, might as well try it just in case. No, why resign when you can just give them one more chance to go wrong? And incredibly in the game, that is what black did. This was a game from 1992. Black just played this horrendous move, and we got to the same drawing position, which is just weird because king e6. I mean, why are you playing king e6 rather than king e4? Like, to play that and then not follow it up with bishop e7, which was surely the idea of king e6, was bizarre. But yeah, there it is. It's a win. The white king is outside the square of the pawn. The bishop's forced off that diagonal. Obviously cover a1, why not? a3, king over, and now, yeah, bishop f6, and the white king just isn't in time. We might see king d2. Don't take the bishop. But you want to play a2, and the white king desperately tries to get over, but both these squares are covered. Pawn's queening. So that's one thing that's one new theme that wasn't in that bishop and pawn versus bishop 1 video. Right, this is a game from 1994. This was sort of played by players, to be honest, not that dissimilar to my rating. So, which probably explains why all the moves you're about to see were just sort of one rubbish move after the next, really. Both players clearly didn't understand what was required of this position. And what's required of this position is that it's an easy draw, for white. You do the frontal defense thing. Okay, all you need to do is get your king to b1. Okay, if the black bishop challenges your bishop's control of this diagonal on c3, you do the fortune teller thing. Okay, so bishop this way, come back and guard c3 on this diagonal. If bishop back this way, then come back and guard c3 on this diagonal. So you just do the fortune teller thing. That's not a problem. But what is a problem is if you allow the black king in, and then the black bishop can challenge on c3. Yeah, the black bishop could challenge on c3 when you try and bring the king across, as we'll see. Then that is going to cause trouble. But if with the black king in, then we're going to be able to advance this pawn by challenging, and then it's going to be a case of the short diagonal again. There are just too few squares on this diagonal. Yeah, so the correct drawing move is king c1. Again, you can play king c1 here and get your king to b1, because black wasn't ready to challenge on c3. You can challenge on b4, but that's not a problem. Challenge on b4, we just take it, and from b1, or even here from c1, we can bring our king to b2. So that's the extra. Yeah, that's the extra little trick you've got here with this frontal defense. Anyway, so in the game, bishop d2 was played, which throws away the win. And now what black should do is get their bishop to c3. Okay, so obviously don't challenge on b4, because we just take and bring king c2. But I mean, I was about to put my bishop on d4 there, but in fact, why not bishop d4? That looks the simplest way of doing it. I've got bishop a3 already set up, but fine. The white bishop stays on this diagonal. I don't know why I did bishop a3. Just bishop to d4 and then bishop to c3 was better. We're going to challenge the white bishop on c3. It goes off to do its fortune teller thing. Bishop out the way, and now we've come onto this diagonal. But now we can challenge the white bishop on b2, which we couldn't do if the white king was on b1. And you can see that pawn is coming through. Okay. I mean, white might try and get the bishop to g5 and stop it getting to the c1 square, but the black king is just going to come to b1. It controls two of the squares on that short diagonal, and in a minute this bishop can be used to control the other one. We've got to first of all get rid of the bishop on that diagonal, so bishop g5, challenge the bishop. It thinks fine, I'll do the fortune teller thing. There's the fortune teller thing, but there's just not enough squares on that diagonal, so that would be a win for black. I'm trying to think. Let's just go back through that one extra thing that I wanted to check. So bishop a3, unnecessary, but we can get the bishop to c3. Fine. It's here. Yeah, just something like this. Why can't white play king c1 in this? Well, king c1 in this position. Sorry, we got c3 coming through. And yeah, you can see that that's completely over there. We're about to get mated, aren't we? More or less. The bishop's going to do a check on one of the diagonals and queen on c1. That wasn't the thing I was going to show, actually. There was something else I wanted to talk about. Why the king why the king can't come to c1 if black's ready to challenge the bishop on this diagonal on c3. Okay, why is king c1 prohibited there? Like, why does white have to play king c1 now, I guess, is the question. Anyway, yeah, so let's find out about that. So bishop d2, and then it's bishop f2 throws away the win, and then bishop a5 throws away the draw. Okay, so again, king c1 was the drawing move there, get the king to b1. So that throws away the draw, and then black throws away the win again with bishop g3, when what was necessary there was to challenge on c3. So let's see that actually. Let's bishop d4. What if white just says, okay, well I'll go to c1 because you're sort of too late. You haven't stopped my king getting to b1, but you've done it too late, because at the moment, if with the king still on that dark square c1, we can challenge on c3, force the bishop off that diagonal, and then here's the key. We've got a check, and then pawn coming through. In fact, in that particular position, I think we're getting mated, aren't we? I can't see. I think it's checkmate in one. Yeah, no way to stop checkmate in one. So back to the game. White throws away the draw. Black throws away the win. Like I said, these are two players of my standard. So that might explain why this is such a horror show. White throws away the draw. Black throws away the win. White throws away the draw again, and then black finds the right winning plan. Get the bishop to c3. Okay. There it is. Off to do the fortune teller thing. Bishop b4, bishop e5, and then black finds bishop a3. We're going to challenge the bishop on this diagonal, and the c pawn's coming through. Incredibly, for some reason, having found the right winning plan, apparently in this position the two players agree to draw. So I have no idea why or how or any of the logic to that. But yeah, that's the frontal defense you want. Okay, if you get a chance to do the frontal defense, king to b1, and if you get challenged on c3, just do the fortune teller thing. Okay. Just keep guarding the c3 square. You can't be challenged from b2. That's why we've put our king on b1. And if you're challenged on b4 on this diagonal, just take it and play king b2. And it's a draw. Or even king c2, it looks like as well. Looks like a complete draw. Right. Last but not least, so it's black to play in this position. Pause the video and decide what you'll do. I thought this one was quite hard because it's trying to work out which of all the various defensive plans is the right one to go for here. Like, are you going to head for the g8 square, knowing full well that you might end up in that position where you can't cross the f8 square? And I mean, that's all right if you just get to that reciprocal zugzwang position, as long as you understand that reciprocal zugzwang position. Is that going to work as a defensive plan? Or is it one of those ones where you need to sort of come round and get some sort of rear opposition thing? And it is the former. So in this one, if you play king d5, it's just too late. You're not going to get in this way. And we've also got the problem that, I mean, after g6, even if you got the rear opposition thing, it's the short diagonal. I don't think you're going to even get the rear opposition thing, but it is the short diagonal that's a problem. Bishop c3 obviously needs playing here. Yeah, you can see that we're getting challenged almost straight away on f6. You've got to play something like bishop g7, I think's forced there, isn't it? Yeah, because bishop f6 is on the way. What's wrong with bishop f6 there? Okay, bishop e7 slightly quicker. Apparently, bishop e7 is checkmate in 18. I think I would have just played bishop f6, but fine. Bishop, I suppose bishop e7 is a nice little zugzwang because the black king's forced away, or bishop h6, and then the white king's in. Yeah, so this is, it's just gone. Okay, I mean, even if should we just sort of, I don't even know if I'm playing white's best moves here, but even if we end up in the rear opposition situation, well, we can challenge straight away on f8 there, can't we? Oh no, we can't challenge straight away on f8, gets taken. Going mad. Anyway, yeah, the white king controls f8 and g7, so we just need to make our way around to controlling h6. But what did black do here? Black's in zugzwang already. King e4, bishop d2. It's gone. I've just gone from a checkmate to a +99, but that was one way to win it. Yeah, so king d5 doesn't work. Or it does actually in that bishop f8 thing I had at the end there. So it would work against me because I would have just blundered the pawn at the end there with that bishop f8 move, turning my brain off. But it doesn't take too much to work out that we can go for the frontal defense here. You can see that you're going to get into that situation where you can't, well, let's see it, you can't cross the f8 square. Okay, white absolutely has to play bishop d6 here. They've got to stop your king getting to g8. g7 didn't do it because of king f7. We've now got to control the g7 square as black. And if the white king was already on e6, we've lost, as per that previous position. But white's got to spend a move, putting their king on e6. And then, yeah, this is the point where the black bishop has to go to g7. And this is what happened. This is a game from 1995. Bishop c5, move the bishop. Okay. Do not put the bishop on g7. Okay. Even with a little trick like that, do not put the bishop on g7. If the bishop had gone to d6, then you put the bishop on g7. But yeah, we don't care if he challenges us on f6. That's not a problem. Because we just take it and play king f8 as draw. Do not put the bishop on g7. And then, yeah, in the game, white just sort of got bored of trying that. I probably would have tried bishop back to d6 one final time to see what happened. Went over here, we just keep the bishop on that diagonal. Just keep doing nothing. And as soon as the white king stands ready to get to h6, you've got to play bishop g7. If the white king stays ready to go to h6, we just move our king. In the game, white put their king back. So yeah, I mean, something like king h5, king d7 is fine, and then back to e8. That would work. In the game, king f4 was played, bishop c3, king f5, just pass, and they agreed to draw in that position. Yeah, like I say, no sort of new themes in that video. It was just 6 different positions, consolidating the themes from the last video. I suppose that one was slightly different, wasn't it? But anyway, hope everyone liked that.